It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations, we cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Kruse.
Welcome to the show. Last year's hunting season is by and large a done affair, but new opportunities to harvest big game, whether it be bear, deer, elk, pronghorn, moose, or sheep, they're waiting for you. Many of you will be hunting big game in your home state, but others will be making a trip outside of your state in search of a trophy buck, bull, bruin, or in the case of Wyoming, maybe even a bison. Now, in many cases, you'll be looking to draw a tag for one of these animals, and this is an art and science unto itself in many of our United States. That's why quite a few serious hunters are poring over data as to how many tags were applied for in certain areas and how many tags were given out. Then they are cross-referencing that harvest reports from last season to figure out if the game management unit they're interested in is indeed a good bet or a long shot when it comes to not only getting drawn for a tag, but for harvesting an animal. Believe it or not, some tag application periods are already closed for this season or are closing fast. And if you are looking to book a hunt with an outfitter, you'll definitely want to contact him or her and get details about applying for tags before booking a trip. This latter point has been an interesting discussion I've had with several outfitters at Sportsmen shows over the last month. The conversations range from outfitters in one Rocky Mountain state telling me to apply now to get preference points and have a better chance to draw for next season when they actually have bookings available, versus advice from a Pacific Northwest hunting guide about applying for a specific unit where there is historically a 100% chance of being drawn for an elk tag. The reason? Because the area is so remote, the only way you'll get in there is on horseback, and he's one of the few outfitters offering that opportunity. This whole tag discussion is also one we'll have this week with Jeff Lester. He is the owner of Hunt Hard Outfitters. He offers hunts for mule deer, Rocky Mountain elk, and Coues deer in Arizona and New Mexico. And getting a tag to hunt for them is half the battle. Jeff will tell you more about that, along with the physical hunts he'll take you on for these animals in the Rocky Mountains of the Southwest. Another conversation we'll have is about a brand new performance cooler I discovered. Now, we all know about Yeti and about all of those spin-offs in the performance cooler market. They'll all keep ice frozen for days longer than you'll be able to keep it in that old metal Coleman cooler your dad or grandpa used when you were growing up. Of course, that ice retention comes at a premium price, and there are probably a dozen cooler companies out there all claiming to be the best when it comes to toughness, ice retention, looks, and the coolness factor. As in, I'm cool because I have one of these coolers and you're not, Gramps. I've got to admit, I have not gotten swept up in this. I have just bought extra bags of ice. At least I didn't get swept up until I met Matt Kilmer and Lance Banks. They are part of the crew making and selling Wyld Gear coolers. That's Wyld, spelled W-Y-L-D, and the color schemes on these new coolers are not the only thing that's wild. What I really like are the dual compartments with dual lids on their 50 and 75 quart coolers that literally allow you to keep an item hot in one compartment and cold in the other. I'm talking coffee in the morning and adult beverages or water in the afternoon here, folks, which is pretty darn impressive. But wait, as they say, there's more. They actually have a tap accessory so you can pour that coffee out of that cooler compartment, along with cutting boards and rod holders to put on the coolers, and my favorite, a portable aerator that turns either one of those compartments into a live well for your bait or for the fish you're catching in a tournament. Matt and Lance will join us during this program to tell you more. In addition to this, we've got another Sportsman show to tell you about, and this one is all about saltwater sport fishing off the coast of Oregon, Washington, and Northern California. It's the Saltwater Sportsman Show. It's taking place next weekend in the capital of Oregon, Salem, and Charles Lose will preview that for you. We'll also tell you about a whole bunch of other shows taking place all over our United States between now and the end of the month, and even talk about fishing far away from the mainland U.S., a topic we're going to tackle right now. Our next stop is Hawaii. That's right. There's more to Hawaii than snorkeling and laying on the beach. There's some good fishing there, and one person who would love to take you fishing is Captain Trevor Child. He is the owner of Maverick Sport Fishing Kona. Trevor, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about what you have to offer on the Big Island?
All right, we're located on the Big Island of Kona, Hawaii. We do big blue marlin sport fishing, yellowfin tuna, mahi-mahi, ono, and spearfish, so all the pelagic species that come through our Pacific waters.
Well, let's break it down one at a time, but before we do, let's talk about the boat that you are chartering on. Tell us a little bit about where people are going to be fishing or how people are going to be fishing.
All right, the boat is a 38-foot Bertram. It's totally customized. It's about 3 years from a rebuild. Brand new engines, all new electronics. We fish about 3 miles off the coast. You can see the island the whole time. The shelf drops off to 6,000 feet within 3 miles, so we're instantly fishing anything from a 5-pound tuna to a 1,000-pound marlin.
That's absolutely amazing that you have that short of a run to such amazing fishing. Let's start off with the marlin. I mean, are these blue marlin, black marlin? What species of marlin? And again, how big are they getting? And what's an average marlin?
So they're Pacific blue marlin. The average size for us is about 150 to 300 pounds. But the state record is 1805, so...
Good Lord.
They vary in sizes, and we really never know what's going to hit. I mean, they could hit a 5-inch lure to a 12-inch lure from like 150 pounds to, 800-pound fish.
How do you fish for these marlin?
So we're primarily trolling, working our different ledges and depth contours, and solely dependent on the current. So depending which way the current's moving, we pick our ledges that we're going to fish, and then it's just a waiting game.
Are you trolling bait? Are you trolling lures? What are you trolling?
We're trolling artificial baits. Homemade resin heads with our certain colors that work for us. And we will use live bait as well, but in that sense we're fishing structure like a buoy or a shallower ledge just because our water's so deep.
And what is the preferred live bait in Hawaii?
Skipjack tuna. That's what we use. And then we have a little scad mackerel called an opelu, which works very well as well.
So tell us about the yellowfin tuna fishing.
So yellowfin tuna, they range from 5 pounds to about 200 pounds. Primary season for them is the summertime, June, July, August. They hang out with the dolphins, so we can fish them when they're with the dolphins. Those are usually around 150 pounds. And then the state puts out buoys called a FAD, which is an acronym for Fish Aggregated Device. So the tunas tend to be attracted around there, anywhere, like I said, from 10 pounds to 50 pounds, and we can catch those on light tackle. If they're there, we'll get them. If not, it's fishing.
I know tuna fishing is an absolute hoot, and boy, those fish can run, and when you get into them, it is just crazy on the boat. No doubt about that. Mahi-mahi, dorado, the same basic fish, called a different name. Tell us about that fishing.
That's sort of the same thing. So good they named it twice, the mahi-mahis. But they like to hang around structure too. So we fish a lot of the fads for mahis, or if we find something floating out there, it creates structure, sort of a palm tree in a desert scenario. So they tend to follow anything from a cargo net to a log that we find, and the tunas and the mahis will be stacked on that, and we have a field day with that.
I fished for dorado in the Sea of Cortez before, and you're absolutely right about how any sort of flotsam or weeds or whatever you might want to call it, how it attracts schools of these fish. And again, I mean, another hard-fighting, fun-to-catch fish. When it comes to the mahi-mahi that you're catching, what's an average size and what's considered a big one?
Average for us is about 10 to 20 pounds. We caught the biggest of the year. It was 55 pounds, which is a big one for Kona. They get bigger, but the lifespan on a mahi-mahi is about 4 years, so they don't live very long.
Interesting. Had no idea what the lifespan was, and I don't care where you're at, a 55-pound mahi-mahi or dorado if you're fishing down Mexico way, that is a fine fish. What else do you have to offer clients? You said spearfishing. I'm interested in that.
So a short-nosed spearfish, it's one of the rarest billfish in the world, very common to Kona. We catch them pretty regularly when they're there. Anybody who's a bill fisherman who's fished throughout the world comes to Kona to finish their billfish slam with a short-nosed spearfish.
I have honestly never heard of a spearfish before. Describe it to our listeners.
So it's a type of billfish. It's more related to the sailfish, but it has a short bill. They're long and they look like a sailfish minus a sail and a shorter bill. Really good to eat and a very fun fight.
Now, I'm guessing some of the fish you're catching that we've described, it's a catch and release show, and other fish, it's a take them back to the condo or take them back to shore. What is what?
With our billfish, we release 99% of them. We'll hold it by the side of the boat. You guys can take pictures and whatnot. And then all of our dinner fare we'll cut up for you guys, and you guys can enjoy it your will.
Sounds fantastic. Last but not least, how can folks book a trip with you?
You can find me on the website at mavericksportfishingkona.com.
The website, mavericksportfishingkona.com. And if you're looking for a place to stay, they can help you with that too. They've got some connections to some nice condos that are just a short distance away from where you're going to be fishing. Again, it's mavericksportfishingkona.com. The captain is Trevor Child. He's been doing this about 10 years. He would love to take you out for a day of fishing in Hawaii. And I'll tell you what, in my opinion, that beats a day at the beach. Thanks, Trevor.
Right on. Thanks for having me.
Why book at Sportsman's Cove Lodge?
Why is Alaska like no other place on Earth? It hasn't changed in thousands of years.
From the way you get here on a float plane to the way you go out with the guides and the boats, it's just a professional experience.
And I said, this is as good as it gets. I said, if you can't catch fish here, you can't catch fish anywhere.
Your experience with us will leave you speechless.
Book now at alaskasbestlodge.com. Back in with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse. We're going to talk coolers because, as everyone knows, we are in the middle of a high-end performance cooler craze. And it all started off with those folks from Yeti. They came out with these coolers. They cost a ton of money, but they'll tell you that they are tougher and last longer in terms of keeping stuff cool, keeping stuff warmer than any other cooler out there. That's their claim to fame. That's why they're able to sell coolers for the price point they can. Well, guess what? There's a lot of competitors out there, and I'll be honest, most of the competitors, their stuff, at least to me, it looks pretty darn similar. But then I found a new product at the Pacific Northwest Sportsman Show in Portland. It's a cooler, a series of coolers made by Wyld Gear. That's W-Y-L-D Gear out of Wyoming. With us here to tell you more about these really innovative coolers you're going to want to know about is the owner and founder, Matt Kilmer, along with the national sales manager, Lance Banks. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, John.
Thanks, John. Glad to be here.
So, Matt, we're going to start with you. And, I mean, these are very noticeable coolers because they're multicolored. They really stand out. But, you know, it's not just the beauty on the surface. It's the functionality of these coolers that really separate them for other performance coolers out there. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about the dual compartments you have?
All right, John. Well, like you, we noticed there's a lot of high-performance coolers out there, and what we also noticed was that no one was going to the next step. Everyone just stopped at this one-chamber cooler and with not a lot of functionality. So we talked to a lot of our friends, a lot of fishing guides, a lot of hunters and outdoors people, and we came up with the idea that if we create a little more functionality by splitting the cooler into two fully insulated chambers, it opens up a whole world of possibilities. For instance, we have a lot of different accessories, including an aerator. The aerator can go right into one side of the cooler and make it a live well. Or, you know, a lot of times what we do is we have hot coffee on one side and the cold drinks on the other side, and you can have that for days and they won't affect each other.
Well, that's exactly what you've been doing at the shows. You've had some hot coffee that you've been pouring for folks with one of the accessories, and then you've had ice bottles of water on the other side. I mean, this is really cool. Actually, it's one of those when you see it, it's like, gee, why hasn't anybody thought of this before? But nobody's thought of this before. I mean, how did you come up with this with your friends?
I'm right there with you. Like, it's one of those ideas. When we did it, it's pretty obvious. Absolutely. Well, a lot of our friends are fishermen. You know, they have boats and they're compact, so they can't afford to be taking 2 coolers out onto them. So we try to make it a cooler that could do everything for them, and that's where we came up with it. We're just trying to fit more into less, and the possibilities are basically wide open with this thing.
You've got 3 different coolers, a 75 quart that is a 2-compartment cooler, a 50 quart 2-compartment cooler, and then the 25 quart, and that is a 1-compartment cooler. And like you said, you can have hot and cold depending on what you want, but I want to talk about some of the accessories, and you mentioned one of them. To me, this was really exciting. I'm a guy with a 12-foot boat that putters around the ponds, you know, with an electric motor or a little 4-horse. And obviously there's no live well on a boat like that. But with your 75-quart cooler, you've actually got ports that go into both of the compartments where you've got a portable battery-operated aerator, and pretty much anybody is suddenly a club tournament fisherman.
Yeah, absolutely, and that will actually work on all 3 size coolers. We have the ports on every chamber we offer, and it's not just for small boats too. We found up a lot of people who like to just go out on a pier. They can pull their cooler out there, and they have their live well on one side and their lunch on the other side. It just opens up better fishing for everyone.
Are most people that are using the aerator are using it to basically keep live bait in, or are they actually going out, like I said, on a club bass tournament, club walleye tournament, or panfish tournament, and basically competing using your coolers?
Yeah, both. In Wyoming, we do a lot of ice fishing, so the live bait's important there. And the nice thing about our chamber is it's very thickly insulated, so you're not going to have your water getting cold where the bait dies. Your water doesn't get hot where you have problems with the bait. But people also do use it for tournaments. We have the Crappie Masters tournaments down in the southeast, and they use those to bring their wheeled coolers also, so they're able to put their catches into the cooler and wheel them right up to the booth.
That is completely awesome. Now, let's talk about the tap kit, because your little igloo cooler, it's got the little spout that you can open up, but this is a whole different accessory.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a steel tap that screws right into the drain plug, and it just, again, turns your cooler from a cooler into something that can host a party for you or your kids or, you know, your friends out at the lake, have lemonade coming out or whatever floats your boat.
Or coffee, folks. Doesn't have to be adult beverages that we were alluding to there. In addition to that, a couple of other accessories. You've got a cutting board. You've got also rod holders. How do those work on your coolers?
Oh, yeah, the rod holders are great. So we have areas on the side of the coolers right underneath the lid where the rod holders can clip right in. They're steel-handled rod holders, and the body is a hard plastic. They'll slide in there. You can put 6 on each cooler. So it turns your cooler basically into a mobile base camp for your fishing operation.
I absolutely love this, folks, and now we're going to talk about where you're going to find them, and that's where you come in, Lance, as the national sales manager. This is a new product. It's only been out on the market a little bit over a year. I've got to tell you, I mean, if I was a retailer and I saw this cooler, my immediate thought is, there's nothing like this. I've got to have this in my store. Where are some of the retailers you're in right now?
Well, we've gotten into Sportsman's warehouse. We're in 6 locations there, and we're on their website, so you can get one of our colors there. We're in a lot of different Ace Hardwares that contain sporting goods stores and or a barbecue section that carries grills. They lend themselves to the barbecue world very, very well because you have 2 compartments where you can separate hot from cold, or, you know, a different type of meat from another type of meat. So, you know, the barbecue world is really fond of them. We're in a lot of decent, some really nice sporting goods stores, holiday sporting goods, all the way down into Washington, Oregon, and we're into Mississippi and Missouri, and so they're just starting to pop up everywhere. It's tough to cover the whole United States all at once, but we're making a pretty good dent and making a pretty good impression on some of the new buyers. We're getting them excited.
So let's talk about the big gorilla in the room, Yeti. How do your coolers compare to Yeti in performance and price? We'll start off with the performance factor.
Performance-wise, we're a little bit thicker as far as our walls are concerned, but the process in which we do our coolers is a rotomolded process. So trying to figure out how to hold ice longer, I think a lot of people have done that. They'll stack up against anybody in the market as far as holding ice and performance. But the other thing that theirs don't, is this hot-cold thing. So that's a factor that they just don't have.
Oh, it's a huge factor, and you can only do that with the 2 compartments that you have. So let's talk about the next issue, price. These performance coolers, they're pricey. Yeti is probably the priciest of them all. How about yours?
Our 75 quart, 50 quarts on one side, 25 quarts on the other, it is a total 75 quarts is $399.99. I believe that a lot of the competitors has a 65 quart out there that's $399.99. But what you're getting is quite a bit more function when you have just a box that holds ice And then you have something that you can barbecue with, you can fish with, you can hunt with, you have a dry box, you can put hot coffee, you can tap. I mean, I can just go on and on and on about our functionality. You're getting quite a bit more value for the money.
I would have to agree. Again, folks, I've never seen a cooler like this before. I think it's fantastic. I think when you see it, you're going to think the same thing. And when you get a chance to actually see one up close, try it out, I think you're going to want to buy one. So for now, you just heard the places where you can get them, several Sportsman's Warehouse stores. Look for them in quality sporting goods stores in Washington, in Oregon, in Mississippi, other places too as they continue to expand. And you can always find them online at wyldgear.us. That's WYLD gear.us for Wyld Gear coolers. They pop. They stand out. They're the multicolored coolers that not only look good, they've got some incredible functionality. Gentlemen, thanks for sharing this with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse. We're broadcasting from the floor of the second biggest show in the nation, the Pacific Northwest Sportsman Show in Portland, Oregon. And we're talking to Jeff Lester. He is the owner of Hunt Hard Outfitters, offering deer and elk hunts in two states you might not think of, Arizona and New Mexico. Jeff, welcome to the show.
How you doing?
Doing fantastic. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about the hunts you offer? I'm looking at the pictures that you've got here from these hunts. Some magnificent mule deer, some magnificent Rocky Mountain elk.
We're a full-service outfitter in Arizona and New Mexico. We do a number of different hunts. We hunt archery, rifle, and muzzleloader. We provide services for all those hunts in fully guided hunts. That's when you book a hunt, it's food, lodging, and one-on-one guiding services.
Are these pack trips into the wilderness where you're riding a horse, or is it more of a ATV thing or a hiking thing? How are you getting to the hunting grounds? And are these hunting grounds leased lands or public lands?
They are 100% public ground. Everything that we hunt's national forest. Everything is road accessible. I'm not saying we don't use quads and four-wheel drive trucks and stuff, but I mean, most guys that come have to be in fairly good shape. We do a lot of hiking, a lot of backpacking. We don't so much use horses to pack into our areas and hunt. We do on a couple of hunts, but most of the time stock is only used to pack out meat and such. Everything that we hunt, like I said, is 100% fair chase on public ground. We have a number of different options and different areas suited for different capabilities.
So a question for you, Jeff. When it comes to big game hunting in another state, you've always got to ask about what are my chances of drawing a tag, because you know, with some outfitters, they're like, don't even talk to me until you got the tag. What about Arizona? What about New Mexico? Is it tough to draw a tag in those states for an elk or a mule deer?
Okay, so I'm going to explain it in two different ways. Arizona is a point-holding state, so you have to draw a tag in Arizona to hunt. Okay, so it might take you 2 or 3 years because you can draw on the random draw. But as your points grow, every year you have a better opportunity of drawing the tag because basically you have more names in the hat. So when it starts out with 1 bonus point, as you go on, you go up to 10 bonus points. Every year your odds increase. So New Mexico is completely different. It has 0 bonus points. So it's on, I'm not going to say it's fair. It's everybody throws their name in the hat every year. No bonus points. You either draw the tags or you don't. And New Mexico also has landowner tags. Landowner tags make it possible for someone to buy a tag and to hunt that specific year. So you could put in for the draw. If you don't draw, you can actually buy a tag. They are limited. There's not an unlimited surplus of these tags. It basically doubles the cost of the hunt on most hunts. So say a $6,000 week hunt or 5-day hunt cost $12,000 with landowner tag.
So the landowner tags, though, are they good just on the land that the person owns, or are they good anywhere?
That's a great question. The landowner tags are done in 2 different ways. They have unit-wide and ranch-only tags. So let's just use a quick example. Say your ranch is 100,000 acres and you get 20 tags. The landowner may say those tags are designated for ranch only or unit wide. If they go ranch only and an outfitter buys all those tags, he's basically leasing that private ground to hunt it. Now, say you have 10,000 acres and you get 3 tags. The guy and the rancher makes it unit wide. That means he has to open his gates and let the public hunt his land as well as the public land that those tags are good for.
Very interesting. So it sounds like you'll want to apply for the tags first, get your tag, and then contact you?
Yes. Are you talking with landowner tag?
I'm talking period in terms of before somebody tries to book a hunt with you in Arizona or New Mexico for elk or deer. Sounds like they need to put in for the tags and actually get the tag. Is that step 1 and then step 2 is calling you, or should both things be happening simultaneously?
No, step 1 is they should call us, and then we can recommend what hunts they put in for. And also in the state of New Mexico, they have what they call an outfitter draw. So by putting in through an outfitter, you get 10% better, not 10% better odds, you get 10% of the tags go to the outfitter pool. 6% of the tags go to non-resident out of the outfitter pool, which they can still hire an outfitter. Okay, so 16% of the tags are going to go to out-of-staters. The rest of the tags are going to go to residents, but 10% will go to outfitted, 6% will go to non-resident hunters, and then they are able to do what they want. They can hunt it on their own, or they can go and hunt with an outfitter. But they're also contracted to hunt in that 10% pool. They are contracted by the state of New Mexico to hunt with that outfitter.
Fascinating stuff. I had no idea when I asked that question it was going to be so complex of an answer, but I'm glad I asked it, glad you answered it. So this is good to know. Something else we need to talk about, Arizona, New Mexico, they are considered wooded and rocky and mountainous terrain. I think a lot of people don't realize that. Like you said, you've got to be in shape. It's going to be a challenging hunt, isn't it?
Yeah, everything that we hunt is a lot of the stuff we hunt is very physical. Now, a lot of people, I hear it all the time, especially when we get hunters from the East Coast that haven't ever been west, or they've been to Montana or Wyoming, Idaho. In those areas, you expect that rougher, steeper ground, timbered country. We're the southern part of the Rockies, the south part of the Rocky Mountains go into Arizona and New Mexico. And what a lot of people don't really get, we get people all the time that are shocked when they see the country we hunt in Arizona, that it is so rugged and mountainous. And they're very shocked thinking that it's a desert. Well, where we live is far from a desert. My town sets at 7,500 feet. There's 7,000 people there, and it's one of the highest communities in the United States.
So you are warned, folks, that you better be in shape before you book this hunt, and it's going to be in terrain that's not like what you might think it is. But again, looking at the photos of the animals you have here, these are some magnificent mule deer, some magnificent Rocky Mountain elk. And one other species I want to talk about that you hunt that's kind of on a grand slam list for a lot of people, Coues deer. We got about a minute. Tell our listeners about that opportunity.
Yeah, Coues deer is a subspecies of whitetail, and a lot of people kind of balk at it and don't really pay attention to it because it's a small antlered white-tailed deer, anywhere between 90 and 120 pounds depending on the deer. Of course, it's a subspecies, so it's needed for your deer slam. We do hunt Coues deer in Arizona mainly and New Mexico, but mainly Arizona. And they have high numbers there. A Boone and Crockett score on a 110-inch Boone and Crockett deer is a very nice, very big deer. 100 inches is respectable. 90 inches is respectable. Great, animal. The kind of Coues craze is happening. A lot of people are catching on to it. A lot of people don't really understand it to hunt white-tailed deer because they see it and they just look at it as a small white-tailed deer. But they're kind of addicting to hunt. They're very small. They blend in very well with their terrain, and a lot of people are catching on. Long-range shooting. They're very hard. You'd have to do a lot of glassing. Very, very tough animal to hunt.
All right, we are out of time. But, folks, if you want to book a hunt in the Rocky Mountains of the Southwest, consider booking it with Hunt Hard Outfitters. Jeff Lester will be your guide. He's got a crew that helps him out. And the website to go to is hunthard.com. That's hunthard.com for trophy elk and mule deer hunting, as well as who's deer hunting in the states of Arizona and New Mexico. Jeff, thanks for telling us about this today on America Outdoors Radio.
Hey, thank you for having me.
We've been telling you about Sportsman's Cove Lodge in Southeast Alaska for a while now, and there's a reason. They are the only Alaska lodge we talk about in this show. It's because they're truly Alaska's best lodge. The adventure starts with a float plane ride from Ketchikan, after which you'll get the chance to experience some of the best hospitality, food, and wonderful people you'll ever meet. Wildlife is abundant, from bears and deer to eagles and whales, and let's not forget the reason you're here, the fishing. Halibut, salmon, lingcod, rockfish, true cod, and more. It's all waiting for you in abundance at Sportsman's Cove Lodge. Book your trip today at alaskasbestlodge.com. That's alaskasbestlodge.com for Sportsman's Cove Lodge.
There's a place where the fishing is year-round, where the sun shines 300 days a year. The wineries and breweries are right downtown. The hiking and cycling offer spectacular views you just don't get in the big cities. Fortunately, the place is real and vibrant. It's the Dalles, Oregon, just 90 short minutes from Portland, along the gorgeous Columbia River, where the adventures are limited only by your imagination. Find out more at explorethedalles.com.
There's no more majestic, magical, adventuresome country than the western United States of America to enjoy a great family vacation. Hello, I'm Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. Shiloh Inns are still offering affordable 4-star accommodations at 2-star prices. Enjoy deluxe smoke-free suites, spacious pools and spas, and fully equipped fitness centers. From free high-speed internet in every room to a free continental breakfast or full, hot, delicious breakfast at most Shiloh Inns. There are no hidden fees like some of the big chain hotels charge. Even the kids stay free, and Shiloh Inns are dog-friendly. For reservations, call 1-800-222-2244 or visit our website at shilohinns.com. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence. American family-owned and proud of it.
Are you looking to reel in the marketing opportunity of a lifetime? Then set the hook, because we've got it right here for you. America Outdoors Radio has sponsorships available, and we offer affordable platforms to reach thousands of listeners interested in fishing, hunting, and the outdoors. Find out more by contacting John Kruse through his website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. Hurry, though. If you wait too long, the big opportunity might just get away. AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.
This land, once wild and free, fades now from our memory. But I remember what it was like, what we were like, what we are capable of when we band together. Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. These natural wonders are where waterfowl begin their cycle of life, where the deer and the antelope play, and where we, the people, gather together to see and share what makes the outdoors so great. The time is now to band together with organizations like Ducks Unlimited. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
Next up on America Outdoors Radio, we are going to tell you about the Saltwater Sportsman Show. It's taking place at the State Fairgrounds in Salem, Oregon next weekend, February 23rd and 24th. With us here to tell you more about it is Charles Lose, who has been working with this show for a long time and will be giving a seminar there too. Charles, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
So the premise of the Saltwater Sportsman Show is that this is really kind of a niche show, and it's all about saltwater angling, presumably off the Oregon, Washington, and Northern California coast. Is that correct?
That is correct, and unlike some of the bigger shows, this is strictly a volunteer organization. The people who have put it together all know each other. Most of the vendors know each other. It evolved out of an online community called ifish.net, and there's just a heck of a lot of very deep expertise wandering around the floors and giving presentations and manning the booths and whatnot. So in addition to the scheduled events, if anybody has a question about saltwater fishing or boating, ask around at the registration desk or whatever, and you will be pointed to someone who has the answer.
This show has grown quite a bit over the years. I understand there's going to be over 100 exhibitors there. What fields are they in? Are we talking lure manufacturers? Are we talking, marine electronics? Tell me more.
Yes, very well represented on marine electronics. We have Rogers Marine and Portland Electronics will be there. The Dory fleet is very well represented with 3 boats there and guides. So there are numerous guides. England Marine is there. All the major tackle dealers will be there. Eat Me Lures. And we also have a wonderful government corner. We will have the Coast Guard, Oregon State Police, NOAA, Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, and the Marine Board. So whatever your questions about enforcement or regulations or complaints, there are people there to talk to.
And folks, when you swing by the Coast Guard booth, make it a point to say thank you. They have been working under trying times without pay for much of the year. I'm hoping things get settled in Washington, D.C., so they're taken care of for the rest of the year in a hurry. But turning back to the show, one big part of this are the seminars. I mean, I saw seminars about how to be a better tuna angler, how to be a better salmon angler, even when the salmon fishing's tough in the ocean, how to catch halibut, and you are giving a seminar too.
I'm doing safety at sea for boats and kayaks, and I'm teaming with Dan Shipman of the Coast Guard. Dan brings some very major chops. He's not only a surfman, but a surfman instructor. And that means he's the guy who teaches people to drive those magnificent 47-foot Coast Guard boats through those giant swells off Tillamook and the Columbia Bar. So he's the kind of guy that will save us if it all goes bad. And so we're teaming up to do that together.
Wow. All right. That sounds like a great seminar to attend right there. And folks, safety is important. I mean, you just lost a few crabbers, as I recall, off the Oregon coast just a few weeks ago due to heavy seas.
That was another bar crossing scenario, and that's one of the most popular parts of my presentation is crossing the bar. I've got some great new drone video of boats crossing the bar. We're going to talk about how to do it safely. We're going to talk about how to stay out of trouble and what is a bar and why is it so dangerous.
All right. Well, I, for one, am really interested in what's being offered here. Again, folks, it's the Saltwater Sportsman Show. It's taking place at the State Fairgrounds in Salem, Oregon, February 23rd and the 24th. And it's put on by a nonprofit group called Ocean, which, like you said, made up entirely of volunteers. What do the proceeds from the show go to?
Ocean stands for Oregon Coalition for Educating Anglers, and they have almost single-handedly changed the culture of rockfish conservation on the Oregon coast. And what I mean by that is, as you may know, when you pull up a rockfish from the depths, the swim bladder expands, and you have that thing protruding out of their mouth, and their eyeballs are bugging out, and they often don't make it when you release them. Ocean has been promoting descender devices, simple devices you clip onto your line that sends them back down and lets them go at depth. And they have been pushing this for a decade, and they've been so successful giving these devices away that the Fish and Wildlife regulations now recognize that rockfish being released this way actually live. And that's just so beneficial because rockfish are really a driver in the regulations because of certain shortages of certain species. So these guys fly under the radar, but this is their major fundraiser for the year, and they're giving back. You get a free descender device here, you get a free coho release device as part of their outreach. So it's an extremely well-run and beneficial organization.
Well, there you go, folks. Just another reason to attend the Saltwater Sportsman Show. Again, the dates, February 23rd and the 24th. The location is the State Fairgrounds in Salem, Oregon. If you fish the saltwater, whether it be off Washington, Oregon, or Northern California, this will be a show you'll want to attend. If you want to find out more, go to saltwatersportsmanshow.com. That's saltwatersportsmanshow.com. Thanks, Charles.
Okay, thank you.
That's just one of many sportsman shows going on in the next week or so. Another one to tell you about, also in Oregon, is the Central Oregon Sportsman Show. That one's taking place February 28th through March 3rd at the Deschutes County Fairgrounds in Redmond. And this show is expanding. It's always been a good show, not a huge show, but a good show, but it's getting bigger. And by the way, if you're looking for RVs, this is definitely the place to go. There are RVs galore from all sorts of dealers throughout the state of Oregon. Another show coming up is the Western Hunting and Conservation Expo. That's going on this weekend through Sunday at the Salt Palace in Salt Lake City. That's a big one. And next weekend, February 22nd through the 24th, is going to be a really busy one when it comes to sportsman shows across the nation. You've got your choice of the Wisconsin Fishing Expo in Madison, the Springfield Sportsman Show in Massachusetts, the Philadelphia Fishing Show in Pennsylvania, the Indiana Deer, Waterfowl, and Turkey Expo in Indianapolis, or the Traveling Fly Fishing Show that we've told you about on this program, making its next stop in Pleasanton, California. I'll be at a show too next week, my hometown show in Washington State, where I'll be exhibiting at the Wenatchee Valley Sportsman Show next Friday through Sunday. I hope you'll drop by and say hello if you find yourself in the apple capital of the world, as Wenatchee is known, where we broadcast from our flagship station every week, News Radio 560 KPQ. Time's running short, and we've got to wrap things up, but a few reminders for you. Number one, if you're not doing so already, like and follow us on Facebook. Just go to America Outdoors Radio to do so. You can catch our show online if you like to listen that way. Our internet station is talkamericaradio.us. It's the new voice for conservative talk radio, and they air our show every Saturday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. Eastern Time. You can also listen on demand anytime you want. Just subscribe to America Outdoors Radio on Stitcher or Podbean, and you can catch our regional show, too, along with this show, by subscribing to Northwestern Outdoors. That's one word. That's our channel on YouTube. One other thing I want to tell you about is a brand new fishing and hunting show coming to YouTube, courtesy of my friend Dwayne England. He's got a great background in the outdoors and broadcasting, and he, along with Kelly Barnum and a couple of other gentlemen who know all about fishing and hunting and cooking and living a sustainable lifestyle, are going to be putting on a brand new show called Fish Hunt Northwest. It's going to cover all of these topics with a focus on the Pacific Northwest states of Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. It'll air live every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. starting March 21st, and you can watch it on YouTube. Either watch it live or after it airs, watch it at your convenience. But now is the time to subscribe to the channel. Just go to YouTube and subscribe to Fish Hunt NW. That's Fish Hunt NW for a brand new show coming at you March 21st, and every Thursday evening from 6 to 8 after that, Fish Hunt Northwest. I do hope that you are blessed in the days ahead. It has been a long winter, and I've been digging out of the snow, and I'm about done with the snow and ready for spring, along with the fishing, hiking, and other outdoors activities that come with the months of March and April. I hope that you will be able to get outside as well. Until we chat again, remember, it is your country and your outdoors. So get out there and enjoy it.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after, whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out in the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.